and apply one time. That's where, when we say product drives process, that's what we're talking about. In order to understand the step that you're on, you know, thinking for you and also for painters who might work for you, you need to know what the next step is going to be. If you are a company that is still predominantly hand sanding, that changes the way you fill. If you're going to hand sand, you don't fill very heavily, and therefore you probably end up filling more than once. If guys are trying to fill really dainty and thin so that their sanding is easier, they're trying to make their own lives easier by doing a really thin job on that first step so it's easier to sand, but then they get to do it again. So we tend to power sand whenever we can, and that allows you to fill heavier. Now, in filling or priming or painting or pretty much any task that we do, if you are doing something heavy, you generally can do it faster. Now, think about that. If you say you're brushing out a beadboard ceiling on a porch, and if you're trying to put a thin coat on, it actually can take you longer to brush out a thin coat than to brush out a heavy coat, because it's a drier surface, there's not as much going on off the brush, there's more friction between the brush and the surface. Same applies with filling. If you can fill heavier, you can fill faster, and if you're going to power sand, you can fill heavier.
So many people have adopted dustless sanding into their businesses. And it works, doesn't it? I mean, it really works. In the sense, I don't care who it is, it's the fact that you can apply heavier because you know the power sanding is going to eliminate the dust and speed up the process.
The extraction rate, if your vacuum or extractor has a variable speed control on it, it can be turned up and it can be turned down. Generally, interior trim sanding we are doing with an orbital sander, which are not, they're very lightweight and not super powerful sanders, they're fine sanders. And so if the extractor is turned up all the way, which if I was going to vacuum the floor or clean up dust or something, I'd want it cranked up for maximum suction. But on a sander, you don't want that. So you can tell by the sound, this is how it is cranked all the way up. Sure is going down. As the vacuum goes down, you can kind of hear the whole system change a little bit. Now the reason for that, if the extraction is turned all the way up while you're sanding, what happens? It's probably happened to some of you. What does it do? Yeah, it sucks to the surface. It's kind of counterintuitive. You would think the more extraction you had sucking away from the sander, the better it would float. It actually sucks the sander right to the surface. That can cause abrasive load. So almost 100% of the time when we're doing this type of trim sanding or wood sanding during the prep stage with the system, the vacuum is turned all the way down so that the sander can just float. And the sander is designed so well to extract dust that even with that vacuum turned all the way down, you're sucking all the dust.
But you don't have to lower the speed of the actual sander. That can stay right where it is.
Yeah, it's got speed control here. The speed on the tool still stays up. Thank you.